Hello, everybody. Jess Lowe, Structural Building Components Association, SBCA, another weekly update. It is November 14th, 2024. Hope everybody's having a great week and looking ahead to the holidays. And really, one of the things I want to talk about today is I have different conversations with different folks throughout the week, throughout the months, and, it kind of ebbs and flows depending on a few different market conditions. But, a few conversations this week on what is the future of the component industry, or what is the future of the construction industry using components or like-minded solutions look like. And it's interesting to really kind of take a step back and think about some of those things and see what's happening in different markets and what's happening today. And is that going to continue to happen every day for the next 100,000 days? Probably not. And that's one of the things that there's always going to be tweaks. There's going to be different things to go in. So that's one of the fun things to kind of forecast, to talk about, to understand. And at the same time, people bringing different things to different markets. So really, what I come back to is there's always going to be value in adding value. And, if you can do a little bit more, do something a little bit more that your customer wants, that's always going to make, the customer happier, and they're going to be more likely to come back to you, use your solution, and likewise. But, with that comes kind of a continuous improvement approach. And how many component manufacturers out there have a continuous improvement approach to what it is that they manufacture? Now, it's one thing to build a truss 5 seconds faster and to be more efficient in the plant and that kind of stuff. But how many of them are doing that in the front office on what are they offering to their customers? What are they doing different to make their customers happy? And that could be the framers that are installing it. It could be the builders that are purchasing it right in the PO. It could be, if you're two-stepping through lumberyards, what makes those things easier? Those are all the questions that I hope our component manufacturers, as we get closer to the end of the year, take a little bit of time, have a little bit of time at their desks to try to understand, to think about, like, what can they do a little bit better? And it's one thing to say, oh, we're going to pivot, we're going to do things different. It doesn't have to be 180 degrees. It could be a 5 or 10 or 15 degree pivot to where, you're doing things just a little bit different. Maybe it's adding on another product line. Maybe you've only done one type of component and you want to do another one, or, better yet, apply that more as a systems approach. And that's really some of the conversations that I've had. Like in a word that came up this morning, and I've used in the past, is a continuum. Every builder, everybody in the construction industry is somewhere different on their offsite path. Now, a lot of people, they might still be using sticks. They might not have a component or anything that's done offsite, say maybe the windows, on their projects. And then you have on the other end of that continuum, like full-on modular, maybe lunar module pod type stuff that is way out there. And, but here back on Earth, from that continuum on where are people at, where do they want to go? And really it's a journey, and getting them on that journey. And components are probably over, to that side to where it's a little beyond sticks, but it's not full on, everything's integrated. And that's a great place to be for our component manufacturers. But if you think about that, if there's people that are going to move along that line, how do they do that? And one of the things I really like and appreciate about our industry is it's highly fragmented. People can provide different things to different people in different markets. But it is one that what I've really appreciated and started thinking about is a systems approach to components, and using roof, floor, wall as 3 elements as part of a system that gains efficiencies that we've talked about in innovative housing showcase projects and framing the American dream, all those things. We do some pretty amazing stuff. We have the pretty amazing capabilities, but it's a matter of, like, are we expecting the builders to pull that out of the component manufacturers, or are the component manufacturers going to push that a little bit to where that helps them remain relevant? It allows them to do that value add, maybe in a little bigger way than what I was talking about earlier. But it is one of those to be thinking about. And I really want our component manufacturers to be looking at their markets. And as we look at, okay, we get along those lines to where we get builders using 2 out of 3, they're using roof and floor trusses. Then they add the wall panels. And then beyond that, the other thing I really like is the floor panel concept, or the floor cassette, because that is no longer just isolated to floor trusses for component manufacturers. You can do that with I-joist solids on. So the product competitiveness, you're adding value by panelizing it. But, if the builder doesn't see value in the floor trusses just yet, you could use I-joist. You can use other solutions and then bring them in with the floor trusses to, articulate those differences. But that's just the thing that, really is the point of today's conversation is, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? How are you going to move along the continuum and offer the opportunities for your builders, your customers, to be able to do that as well? Because as we look, 10, 15, 20 years, there are going to be a lot of changes happen. But my parting, thought about that whatever the future brings, you can happen to the future, or the future can happen to you. And if it's happening to you, it's probably too late. But it's one of those that I really like our component manufacturers through interactions with SBCA, our members, for our networking events, our BCMC, OQMs, also, just talking with our staff. It's one of those that is front of mind. There are people out there wanting to impact change. Now, the degrees to which they go and are effective, or, we see that differing, with different companies. But it is one of those that I do think that there are some opportunities out there for our component manufacturers to be part of it. SBCA can certainly help, and we need to position our association to be welcoming for all different avenues of how they get things built in different markets. So with that, I hope that everybody enjoyed my little TED talk there, but continue talking about it. I've written about it in some articles this year, but really, that's what's front of mind for me right now. Hopefully it is for you, but feel free to share, reach out, let me know what is on your mind, because that's how we get better as an association, how we represent the totality of all of our membership and even the non-members that we're trying to bring in. So with that, I'm at over 6 minutes. We will log off, talk to you next week, and get ready for those holidays. Buy your Christmas presents early is my word of advice, on top of everything else. Till next week, peaks up, press on, have a great week, and look forward to talking to you again.